Hello, welcome to Monday Night Sprints. I have to think every time I do this now because I've started throwing myself and doing it on different days. Just if I'm not chaotic enough, like I don't know what day it is. So I realised at the last minute that I'd got this booked, so I thought we'd go ahead and do it, even though I'd not kind of talked about it on social media or anything. So thank you two for being available and coming to chat to me about books. I do appreciate it. I much prefer having friends to chat to on these things and sitting and talking at the camera to myself. So you are both saved me today, so thank you. Have you both had good days is the question. What have you been up to today?
Sharon?
I've been working all day. So I didn't finish work till 5:15. I started at 8 this morning. I work in accounts. Lots of accounts and lots of emails because I don't work Fridays. I only work Monday to Thursday.
Oh, right.
And so there's always loads of emails on a Monday. But yeah, it's been all right. Hence the pajamas, because I finished work, took off my clothes, put on my pajamas, and then got your message.
Oh yeah.
I thought, I'm staying in my pajamas now.
Please be in pajamas for sprints. That is exactly how it should be, whether you're on the other end of the camera or on camera. I think I'm full disclosure. I'm wearing pajama bottoms, as I always do for sprints, and then I usually throw on some kind of pop culture referencing t-shirt.
Cool t-shirt.
Thank you.
I've been in bed all day. So sorry. Couldn't sleep last night because pain issues. So
I know.
Had just slept through the day as per the usual. So
well, I'm glad you managed to kind of come out of bed, shell.
Yeah, you messaged me while I was eating dinner, so I was like, yeah, sure. I'm awake.
Yay. Well, I caught you at the right time. That's good.
I'm the same. I spent all day yesterday in bed, Jill. So I think we both have chronic illnesses, don't we, Paula? So yeah. So it's it is awful when you have a day like that.
Yeah, it just kind of writes off the day, doesn't it? But at least you can you've rested and done what you needed to do. So hopefully you'll feel better tonight and we can have a nice kind of calm, chilled. I'm sure with the three of us, it'll be calm and chilled when to chat.
Well,
I'm almost lying down chilled. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, I went to the farm this afternoon with my son, which we do every Monday. He does Little Farmers, which is a club for small people who farm. And today we planted potatoes, which is very fun. And he dug what was meant to be a tiny hole and ended up being like a meter wide and like swallowed half the other holes into it. But stopped digging and he's like shoveling, and all these mums are like, oh, soil on my feet, soil on my feet. So yeah, he had a whale of a time. I don't know what else we did. I feel like whole days are absorbed when you've got a 3-year-old, like just catering for needs of like meals, go for a walk to tire him out.
Is he in nursery yet?
No, he's starting in September. So my mum and dad have him on the day. I only work 2 days in office job. So mum and dad have him, and then he's going to school nursery in September. So I think be a big adjustment for both of us, but just every morning. So it's like easing everyone into it. I think he's going to love it.
It just flies when they get
really does.
When they go to school. It goes so quick once they hit school.
Yeah, I think he's ready for it though. Like he's still like a little boy, but he's starting to seem a bit more grown up and like he's ready, and he's so into counting and stuff like that. He's desperate to learn. So yeah.
Well, I just made my Chris take him for a haircut. So this was Wyatt pre-haircut.
Oh, he's cute.
And after his haircut, it just looks so much older.
Yeah.
He does look older. Oh, he's terrifying.
Gorgeous.
Mine is not a fan of haircuts at the moment. We walked past the hairdresser the other day and I was like, I'll just pop in and book you an appointment. He's like, we're not having our haircut, are we? And I was like, no, it's okay. Okay. And as we walked in, I could see him like testing, like, is she bluffing and am I really having my haircut? But he wasn't.
No, with Wyatt being autistic, he absolutely hates having his hair cut, but I'd let it get too long. So it's like I can trim it and keep up with the cut, but if it gets too long, once it gets past a certain point, I can't, keep up with it. So I was like, I'm gonna have to take him and take him for his haircut, and then I'll keep up with it.
I don't think I could get near mine to cut his hair, to be honest. I think he'd see the scissors and he'd just be gone, right? I can't keep up. So, do you have a plan for tonight? What are you going to do during sprints?
Yeah, it says in my little comment that I'm going to be reading
Amina
Al-Sarafi. This is the Fairy Loot edition. It's so shiny,
Nice.
so pretty.
Oh, they are both catching light beautifully.
So, like, this is the dust jacket, and this is the actual hardcover. So
I always take them off as well.
I don't. I think I'm one of the rare people. I'm almost finished reading Lost Girls, the Way book club, and the dust jacket's still on it. I don't know.
I finished it yesterday.
Oh, did you? Did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah, I think that's been my favourite one. Frozen Charlotte was for a long time, but actually I think that's been my favourite just because of the twist on the vampire lore. It was just so interesting. And I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Have you read?
I thought, though.
Sorry, have you read Reluctant Immortals?
Yeah, love that book.
Oh yes,
By Gwendolyn Kist.
Which one it was? Yes, yeah, it was really good.
It's like I read that recently, and I was like, yeah, I like this one.
That was cool. Yeah.
Again, I like the fact that it had its own like slight slant on vampires. Like things decay around vampires, don't they? And I thought that's really cool. Like when they need to make a getaway and stuff, and she can feel the car like decaying around, and she's like, "Hold together, car, come on."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. This one was different. Lost Girls I expected to be kind of quite light, and it was like that in places. It was quite funny and things, but it was quite serious, wasn't it? It kind of dealt with.
I think some of there was some strong horror elements in there. I thought, yes, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who's in the chat who hasn't read it yet, but some of the elements when they met up with the other people, I thought were actually quite horrific for a YA. I mean, I love extreme horror, as you know, but I thought, that's unusual in a YA book,
Yeah.
So it's I think it's the older end of YA, isn't it? Really, it must be.
Yeah, and it was quite comedic horror as well, which I always find interesting. Really gruesome, but then quite funny, some of it at the same time. It
flashed me back to Deadpool. Do you remember Deadpool? That's what it reminded me of. And you'll know what I mean when you get to that part in the book. Things grow back. I just thought it was just so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking in code for the benefit of people. You can come to live stream. We're doing that on the 2nd of May. Yeah. And then we can just go full on spoilers, so we'll be fine. So did you say you've already started reading that book, haven't you, Paula?
I've read it already. I've finished it. I read it a couple of months ago. I think I might read it last year.
Oh, sorry. I mean the one that you're reading tonight.
Oh, Amina. Yeah, I started it a couple of days ago, and then I've got a book that I need to read for review. But I read some of that this afternoon. So now I'm reading for funsies tonight. So
excellent. How about you, Sharon? What's the plan for tonight?
I am a big advocate of indie authors, as you know, especially horror indie, because it's really hard to get horror published traditionally. And so I am reading Kin by Kin and Patrick Burke, who is incredibly funny if you follow him on any of the social media, because he's Irish, and every time I hear him I want a Guinness. But his horror is really, really good. This is basically about a family of inbred cannibals and somebody who escapes them. Yeah.
Nice.
Did he write Sour Candy? I feel like
he did.
I've got that myself. I haven't read it yet, but I heard really good things about that.
His writing is really, really good. It's really it's just very visceral. And I actually dreamed last night about cannibals. Didn't give me a nightmare because I never get nightmares, but it is kind of insidious. It kind of worms its way in your brain. So I'm going to read a bit of that. And then for a bit of lighter thing in the second half, I'm going to read Eric LaRocca, which is also horror, but not quite so horrific. That's my plan.
Degrees of horror, you're like really
degrees. It's still pretty gruesome. It's not something I would recommend to a starting person in horror. I don't really think there's anything like cozy horror. I don't think it exists. And but yeah,
I need to get back into horror as a genre.
It's my favorite. I never go a week without reading horror ever, and I haven't since I read Carrie when I was 8.
I tend to go through the with the horror. I tend to go through the kind of the autopsy, like Patricia Cornwell-esque type stuff, like the Bones, the Kathy Wright
thriller, which is thriller
yeah.
horror. And whereas I prefer it gruesome, gory, and if someone hasn't died within the first chapter, I'm a bit disappointed.
I like the death.
Which is the truth of it. Yeah, it's a safe space. I know, you know, horror is a safe space to think about things that are fearful. It's a safe space. So yeah, I love it. I love horror films too.
Horror films
I think
are
that's why I
comedies to
like
me.
slashers. Slashers to me are my peak horror because they tend to, I know that they can be quite psychological, but they tend to be on like an upper level of, they don't go into the grief and the kind of anything too psychologically, like to do with trauma and grief and things, I tend to find a bit more difficult. And also, as you probably know, anything with children, I'm like, I'm out. So if I see that there's, particularly if it's a little boy under 5, like, nope, can't even go there.
But teenagers get stab happy.
Yeah, every teen, you know, even over, God, men are over 16, aren't they? Like, yeah, 17-year-olds just do what you like. But I think it's the agency, isn't it? Like, I think Mina puts herself in her own stupid situations, whereas, like, when it's young children, they're not in control and it's so awful, and I just can put myself in that situation. I can't cope. So I think with horror, I can go really dark and really bloody, but it has to be on my terms and the stuff that doesn't make me really uncomfortable. Like, I don't like reading horror if it's making me, I don't mind, like, if there's like limbs and organs and stuff. I'm like, yeah, fine, that doesn't make me uncomfortable, but give me a bit of grief and I'm like, oh no, I'm too uncomfortable, put that away.
So I love psychological horror, and for me, it's the animals. I don't like if the dog dies.
Yeah.
I don't mind other animals particularly, but dogs specifically and cats. And but I'll just gloss over it. That wouldn't stop me from reading a book. I never ever read the triggers in a book ever. I know some people have to, and I still haven't had traumatic things in my life. I choose to be scared, so I think, well, I have to take it as it comes, really. But I don't read. I just read them, and I either like them or I don't. Really,
I find it funny. People sometimes put content warnings on mine, and I get the content warnings if it's things like, I don't know, like parental relationships or parent leaving or stuff like that. But then they put like bloody murder, and I'm like, it's called Mina and the Undead, and it says on the back like a series of bloody murders.
It's vampires. Like, I mean, what did you expect?
Yeah, content warning, bloody murder. So yeah, it's interesting, the content warning thing. I do think with horror and mystery and stuff, there's a certain expectation, isn't there, that there will be.
And it spoils it. It can give spoilers if you know it's coming. And the whole point is with anything like that is that you want to be surprised and scared. The idea is it's a comfortable scare. So if you already know it's coming up, you're like, oh well, I'm pointless reading the book now. I know what's going to happen.
See, I am in two minds about trigger warnings because it's like sometimes, well, some people need it, some people don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do.
So it's one of those where it's like like you said, with the animals and little kids.
I just don't read them. I think they should be there for people who need them. I just don't read them. So I think it's very important that they are there for people. But for me, I don't read them.
Yeah, I think they're really useful, especially when it isn't clear from the book that is going to be the content. Like, I know there's some controversy with Ninth House. There's something that I think is quite a throwaway comment, but happens quite early on that wasn't like foreshadowed anywhere. Whereas if I pick up something and on the back it's clearly a murder mystery, I think I don't need a content warning for anything that's kind of promised to you by the book you've picked up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think if it's anything that takes me by surprise, especially if it's children, I do feel miffed.
It's kind of like if something says it's an extreme horror, then you shouldn't be surprised, should you?
You know what you're getting into. But like Amy said with Ninth House, it's like I read it again when Hellbent came out, and when that scene did come up, I was like, I completely deleted this from my brain, so I kind of had to take a minute. So yeah, it was kind of like left out of nowhere. You're like, oh, okay then.
Yeah,
right.
I've got that to read. I've got that on I'm waiting for the second one to come in paperback so I can have a read them together.
Yeah,
I hate series. I hate series of things. I'm very old, and I might die before the next one comes out. So I don't like to start a series unless all of it's out.
Yeah, don't read Name of the Wind then.
I mean,
Game of Thrones. Yeah, don't pin your hopes on getting a new Game of Thrones book really soon.
Well, I read Game of Thrones, and then I got to the last one, and then the TV show overtook it, so I've given up on that anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big, like you, I mean, I'm not a big fantasy reader. Something's got to grab me for it to be. I don't read a lot of fantasy. I don't like romance. You've seen a lot of them have got this like romantic underlying thing, and that just annoys me.
You're just like, I want
like
gore and death.
Yeah.
I need.
I don't mind
that
a little bit.
Yeah. I like romance. I just need something that I can relate to. Like if it translates to, you know, like the things of going to like a school for vampires or something. If it's a situation that I can see myself in and remember what it was like, I'm kind of okay. But it's these ones that are set in a high fantasy world that I just can't pin anything on.
Difficult.
I think I find, yeah, and as soon as the names and the places set in, I'm just like, I'm lost. I can't remember any of these. Don't know who anyone is, and I think it's just my brain processing.
I saw a TikTok of like I don't know if I sent you that anyway.
You sent it me, I think.
Yeah, it's like when you're reading fantasy names in books and you're like, and walked and said to that we're going.
And somebody says it. Somebody
Yeah.
says it. And you're like, that's not how I read it in my head. That's
Mhm.
not how that name was in my head, and then it ruins it completely for you.
Yeah, Sarah J. Maas books, I don't even dare to say the names of the characters on screen because I'm sure I pronounce them all.
I DNF'd the first one. Somebody sent it to me because they loved it. And I love people when they send me books that they love. They say, I love this series. Please read this book. And I think I got 50 pages in before I DNF'd it.
Which one
just wasn't it? Just wasn't for whatever the first one was. Akatar?
Was it Throne? Is it? Yeah,
there's Throne of Glass series, there's Akatar, and then there's Crescent City. So
it's just I didn't like the writing. It wasn't for me. It wasn't, and that's fair enough. So I just it's not really for me. But I love to see people have joy about books, even if it's not for me.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I love TikTok. That's why I love Book Talk so much. You know, that joy people have. I mean, like watching Charlie on screen is just makes me beam smiling.
Yeah.
She's just like sunshine. And so I love to see it, but it's just not for me. That's fine, and it's subjective.
Might be a good moment to see if Charlie's in the comments and see who else is, because I'm describing Charlie sunshine.
Wow, we've got a lot of comments.
Yeah, no, I just saw that scrolling up. I was like, yeah, better jump in and see who's here, and then we will go to sprint in a few minutes.
Sorry,
so
I'm
get ready to
pajamas.
know what you're reading in the comments. Hi, thank you for joining us. I remember you mentioning that one the other night. I love a haunting book. Excellent. I didn't say what I'm planning to do. I am doing a naughty thing. I haven't finished Mina and the Cult, and I'm going back to edit it. So I'm doing some editing. Haven't written
it's your book. You can do what you want.
Exactly. I mean, and I want. Part of me wants to push ahead and finish it, but I also want to get a couple of threads right before I write how the threads end. Hi.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Kirsty.
Oh, sorry you're not feeling well. Let me know what Cruel Illusions is like. If it's what I'm thinking of, is that the Margie Houston book? The vampire one? Is that your first read, Nicole? It's a long time since I've read that. Hi, thank you for joining us, Amy. And I realise I know you, Amy. Like, as if you're a person I don't know. I know Amy from different platforms, and a bit in real life too. That's a good one. Stressful, definitely. Are you on YouTube now, Amy? I don't know whether I missed that, but please let us know if we can come along and follow you.
That's such a beautiful cover, that book, isn't it? It's the one with all the mushrooms and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds cool. Oh, I've just brought that one up. Sorry, my comments are all over the place. Excellent. Is that your first read, Raymond? I read those again absolutely ages ago. Yes, welcome, Amy. Yes, before bed. Daylight horror. That sounds right, doesn't it?
Hi, Lizzie.
Yeah, I completely agree, Hannah. I think that if they're there, you can use them if you need them, and if you don't want to, you can. Just turn over. Yes. Yeah, that's true. I think, I suppose it's personal preference, isn't it? I think for me, I know that with certain genres, I kind of know what to expect. But yeah, like I said, some have tripped me up before.
You grab the choice.
Yeah. Yes, I totally am there with you. I don't know what it is about fantasy names, because sometimes there are difficult names and places and other stuff, but just because it's not grounded in reality. Excellent. I think if it is the Margie, are we talking? Yeah, Cruel Illusion. If that is the Margie Houston one, I think I kept looking at ordering it. I don't know why I didn't, because it's got vampires in, so there's no excuses.
I'm instantaneously putting that on my TBR. Sorry, just give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what
book is it?
Yeah, Margie also wrote Vampire's Hearts, Another Dead Things, which is set in New Orleans, and a girl goes to try and find a cure for cancer because her dad's dying, and she thinks that if she meets a vampire, maybe he will be able to turn her dad and it will cure him. So it's sort of, it's dark and sad, almost too sad for me, but I push through because it's so good. But it's really good and has some kind of lightness to it as well. Yes,
Magi Fusion.
Yeah, Fusion, I think. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think it's Fusion.
I'm terrible with pronunciation.
Yeah, I interviewed her and I kept, at the beginning, I was like, please just pull me up if I say your name wrong because I'm really bad. It's hard. Names are difficult, aren't they? Okay, we've got some comments. Lots of people here today, which is lovely. So let's go to a sprint and let us know in the comments what you're getting up to if you haven't already. We will all go and order Cruel Illusions now. And we all do a 40-minute sprint, then 40 minutes, and then probably a 30-minute one at the end. And do need to just check that I've got enough time left on my StreamYard. But yeah, we should be fine to do a third one. So let me pop the Pomodoro Kitty on, and then we will see you on the side. Hello. Did the kitty get everyone? Hi. Oh, sorry, bag of skips just hit me in the back. So just a random thing. In our Asda shop tonight, so Kev claimed it all, took the bags in like you do, and there's a multi-pack of skips. Like the universe telling me that I need to be junk food because we didn't order the skips. Like seriously, what is life when you're trying to be good and some skips come mysteriously in the Asda shop? So
sorry, I've just had a conversation with Chris, and he's off to the shop. He's like, "Do you want anything?" And I'm like, "Crisps." Like,
yeah, I know. I was going to say skips, maybe prawn skips. Yeah, there was a little cameo on my sprint because Kev, I don't know anybody who writes whether you need a sounding board. When I'm writing, I really need somebody to like bounce stuff off all the time. So I have Kev is my sounding board. So I had Kev on camera with me, and he'd got his spreadsheet of ideas. I basically drafted like 60-something thousand words of Mina and the Call, and I've written a summary of it. So he's written his editing suggestions on, and I've written mine. And we're just comparing editing suggestions, and it made sense. So I was like, can you just come on camera to do it? And so yeah, Kev made his like first official YouTube debut there.
Debut.
So you just history in the making, everyone.
It's not just a head or a limb in the background.
No, he's not. He's an actual full human. It's
Wow.
like he does exist. I just make him up. So yes, that was really good. I feel like I'm really buzzing. I always get to this bit where I'm a bit nervous, like, is this good? Can I finish it by the deadline? And I just had like some like light bulb moments. I'm like, yeah, it is. And yes, I can. So yeah, I feel all happy and like buzzing now. So did either of you have any like revelations during that like I did? Paula, did you have a good time reading?
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading this for my book club, so doing some notes, and it's like I just got written down a funny quote. So yeah, that was pretty much the only revelation.
I tried annotating, and I don't know whether you can see, but I tabbed like up to there. I put 3 tabs in, and then I gave up. So that's my version of annotating a book. It seems I can't get stuck into a book and also annotate it. I don't think. I think I'd read it differently and enjoy it less. So I tried, but I don't know whether it's going to be for me. Do either of you two like annotate and tab and highlight and stuff?
I can annotate. I did try, but I'm definitely more of a note taker. I feel like I can get my thoughts and feelings about certain bits in the book and things like that. Yeah. And it's like I'll end up having like full conversations with myself, like, you know, like someone says, well, this is going to be the big bad in, like, you know, the murder of whatever and this, that, and then this is going to happen. And then later on I'll be like, and I was right, and, you know, all that kind of thing. But I think annotating is too little for me.
That's a good idea, because I feel like sometimes I think I predicted the murderer, but I just predicted like 20 different murderers that it could have been like during the book. And I think if I wrote it down, was actually, I think it's this person. I'd have to hold myself to that. Whereas I always think I've got it right, because just for a fleeting moment, I thought that. Yeah, how did you get on, Sharon? So you read the hardcore book, didn't you, in that sprint?
Yeah, I'm probably still going to carry on because it's so good. And but yes, I read about 60 pages or so. But yeah, I annotating reminds me too much of university, and so I think the link's in my head with that. But if I do annotate, I tend to read the book, and as I'm reading, I just put little post-its in, and then I'll go back through and then add the annotation. So that's how I tend to do it. I don't annotate as I go because I get too involved in the book. So I just put really good idea. I just put little post. Look, I don't write anything on the post-its. They're just marking the pages because I can usually remember, you know, what I've read. Yeah, that's how I do it. But yeah, it's a really good book. It's really, really good.
I need to read one of his. So which one would you recommend starting with for somebody a bit?
Well, you've got Sour Candy, haven't you? So Sour Candy is a good one to start with. Yeah. It has got a child in it, but the child is not what it seems, so it's a bit different. But it's quite a gentle, quite a gentle introduction to him, actually. It's not cosmic horror.
It's evil child. Is that what that one is?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, evil children. I can't go with children that go missing. Anything.
It's cosmic horror, so it's
like a different scale for me. I know that sounds. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's so this one is a bit more. It's a bit more hardcore. It's very graphic and very visceral. and the description is it's beautiful writing though. It's so easy to read, and the characters are fantastic. So it's I'm really enjoying it. So I should carry on reading that.
Are you sort of on the side of the cannibals? Or are you on the side of the people that are trying to get away from them?
Oh, no, I'm on
is
the
it
side.
written like from their point of view?
It's
Do you know what I
written
mean?
really
Like sometimes it would be written, like say Dexter. Dexter's written from being on the side of Dexter, isn't it? And to some extent he's awful, but you kind of want to see what happens. You don't want him to get arrested in episode 1, so you don't him murdering people because you want to know what happens. I was just wondering which side is it? I don't mean like you personally, you on the side of cannibals, but I mean like in the book.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting because one of the cannibal family is basically a mom and a dad and children. They're they're teenagers. They're not adults who are doing this, and one of them has got a bit of sympathy for. So, but no, I'm on the side of the people wanting revenge. I think, especially the main character at the beginning, who absolutely deserves to, seek revenge.
I want to read it, Sharon. You've not said anything that makes me not want to read it. You've not said like child abducted or people grieving and stuff like that.
There's no small children in it. As I said, a couple of the cannibals are like 12, 13, but they're feral, so it's kind of different. There's no children in it. So yeah, I mean it's beautifully written. It's really well written. I'm really enjoying it. So I've been kind of writing my review for it as I go, and it's really good. I think you probably enjoy it. I mean, it is gory.
Yeah. I like it. Have you read any Stephen Graham Jones?
Love Stephen Graham Jones, and
I read similar level or not?
It's more graphic than that.
Okay.
But yeah, I loved. I recently read My Heart's a Chainsaw, and the second one, the Reaper one, which I didn't like as much as the first one. But I think it's a trilogy, isn't there? There's a third one coming.
Yes.
So, but I loved his writing as well. But I love slasher films. I love Scream. Do you know what I mean? I love anything like that. So this isn't specifically a slasher. It's more of it would be like a gory psychological horror.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. You haven't put me off. I'm quite tempted. I'll just hold you responsible. I don't want. I'm aware that people have different levels, don't they? And it is very graphic, the violence in this. So that's not your thing.
I just checked whether I'd that the author was on my radar, and like Sour Candy is on my on my Goodreads TBR. So it's like okay.
His novellas are really good to start with. He writes he's got quite a lot of novellas. He's a Bram Stoker award-winning author for Turtle Boy, which was the first one. But his novellas are easier. I think are easier to get into. But I mean, it's not extreme. I wouldn't think it was extreme horror, but he's gory, and I love that. So.
I like gore, so I'm good.
Yeah,
me too.
He's really good, and he's a nice bloke. He's Irish.
Yeah, I like him on TikTok. I really do. We sort of followed each other on TikTok.
Funny, isn't he?
And then I realised who he was, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you write those creepy books." Like
he's very, very funny on TikTok. He makes me laugh, and so yes, he seems like a nice bloke. So why not support? I support them really, and
Completely agree. Let's see what the people in the comments have been doing. Hi, Dustin. Are you writing? Hi to you. Wrestling with some sort of manuscript like I am. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming we're talking about the meowing Pomodoro kitty. That'd be really cool. Does anybody know of a vampire that goes like at the end or something? Maybe I could just do that. When the time ends,
vampire cat. It could just be a bat flying.
Yeah. Do you remember those like rubber toys that you wore on your finger, like that looked like the Burrag monster? I think they were like 90s toys, like little rubbery. Shall I just do that, like a little rubbery?
We could have the Grur monster, couldn't you, coming across? There's probably a copyright thing there, but that would be really good.
Possibly. I'm raising a little horror fan because somebody, not me, bought my son a Buffy picture book. So he asked me to read the Buffy book all the time. And it shows her as an adult very briefly at the beginning. And it's like, I'm Buffy and I kill vampires. And it shows a vampire and it says "Gur Arg" as he comes on. I was like, this is such a good Buffy joke that is lost on you, child. And for a while I wanted to play poofing vampires, and I've got a vampire stake, so he was running around the land like making me hold up a sheet, and so he could poof the sheet with my stake. So yeah, God help me when he goes to nursery and they're going to come home and like I'll get pulled to one side. Your child's tried to pretend stake somebody today. I'll be like, as long as he doesn't, like, he's just playing. I think I'm okay with that.
He's a little horror. He's a horror fan because vampires are the gateway to horror.
Mm-hmm.
Vampires, they're a gentle way into horror.
And to be fair, little boys play with like swords and as like make it like sticks as swords and everything. So
they do, and I think that like fairy tales, he keeps getting me to. We've got this puppet set of Red Riding Hood, and he loves like. I started really gentle. I'm slowly getting more and more violent. Like we've got to the woodcutter, like chopping open the wolf's stomach.
Horrific fairy tales. Grimm's fairy tales are horrific. I mean, when you actually think about them, outside of what we heard as children, they're horror. They're really quite horrific, aren't they?
Yeah, and he's quite sensitive. Like we watched a show, and he cried when he saw this like not scary wolf puppet. So I'm trying to do some slightly scary versions of stuff because I feel like if I introduce it when he goes to nursery, they read the real version. He's not going to be the kid who cries when they say the word wolf. So I feel like I'm hopefully helping him.
Hi,
Asma. Come on, you
Good
can
luck,
do this.
Asma.
Yes,
good luck.
I remember those days of you've got the deadline that you need to be handed down and you haven't printed it or anything. That gives me slack.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello.
Oh, the comments are doing the thing where they're skipping all over the place. Hi, thank you for joining us. Oh, RealmAthon is a readathon that I just put it on here because absolutely loads of people seem to be doing it. It is, who is RealmAthon run by? I feel like Kev knows this. Books with Lexi, I know, is doing lots of sprints for it. And you can probably find more information from her. But yeah. It's just a really popular readathon that's running this month. If you Google it, you should be able to find a bit more info. I meant to join in, and then it's been
Books with Lexi doing the Escape the Readathon next month.
Oh yeah, she might be. And I know that there's Kelsey from Simon Sashes is running a readathon this month as well. So there's loads going on, and I managed to miss
all the readathons.
I love readathons as well. And I'm so deep in Mina 3 that I can't really think. I've only read I think 3 books this month, and that's not like me particularly. 56 pages Caraval, excellent. Nice. Yeah, exactly, Charlie. It wouldn't be anything meaningful or deep. It'd be like pretty words. That's what I would have. Yes, come on, Asma.
Well done.
You can do this. We've got another 40-minute sprint coming up very shortly. I reckon you can break the back of that in that time.
Van Puppy.
Kirsty has a book. Was it my book that the dog attacked? I think it might have been my proof that of Mina 2. I mean, and Kirsty's like a dog with taste. Yeah.
Are you on the side of the cannibals?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I do quite like anti-hero stuff that really pushes. Like Dexter is one of my favorite TV shows. I haven't read the books, but I loved how you're like, please don't get caught. Please be allowed to keep killing people. You know, it's so interesting psychologically. How can they make you actually be rooting for somebody like that? I think it's so interesting. So yes,
it's like such clever writing.
When I read You before, when I read You and Hidden Bodies before it got made into the TV show and things, I was just like, I actually hate you, but just being taken along for the ride with your brain, it's just like, okay, how do you keep getting out of these situations? How do you just like, how?
It's so interesting, and I think I dislike Joe, but I kind of want to see how it plays out. Whereas I actually like Dexter. Like, I think he's great.
So
and very sympathetic, which is so interesting. Let me see.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw, exactly like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay, yeah, that's about my limit comfortable. Like the original film, it makes me feel really uncomfortable, but I can watch it and I like it for that reason. Yes, Asma, we're all rooting for you. I really hope that you can get it done in these sprints. That's really fast. That's fast for
Well
anybody.
done.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scenes like that are the ones that, I don't know about you, Dustin, but I look forward to writing certain scenes, and when I get to them, I just power through them. And I try and stop writing in the middle of them sometimes as well. If I'm enjoying something, I stop there so that the next day when I pick it up, that I feel like I really want to keep going with it.
Ooh,
another
Readathon.
Yeah, I'm doing the Aurelian Readathon. This is my last book for the Aurelian Readathon.
Cool.
But I'm also doing Slayer Fest 23 this month as well. So
what's that? That sounds like something I should be doing too.
Basically you have like prompts of like, you know, the Scooby Gang and then big bads. So it's like, you know, yeah, you basically you go like, you start off with Buffy, which is like, you know, your basic like who like, you know, read a book with like a strong female character, and then once you have you can either double up with the challenges, so you can read that, but you kind of got to do the big bads in order, but you can choose whichever member of your Scooby Gang to add and whatever, and you can kind of double up that way, or you can just read.
So who runs that one?
My brain is completely spacing right now. I think I might have to. I'll send you the link to her YouTube or the Goodreads.
I think I might have missed it, but I'm going to follow for next time. Yes.
Oh no.
That's probably even more upsetting than chewing approve. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. So I did a law degree, and I used to have to do similar things, but with client interviews and stuff like that. So you'd have to read like a scenario that a client had given you and advice that lawyers had given and kind of critique them. So I've been there with the critiquing difficult stuff. I'm glad you've got a lot to say. So let's see, in 40 minutes, let's see how much Asma can get done, how much the rest of us can get done. I'm going to drag Kev over as well and see if he'll do a bit more plotting with me, because it was just really flowing in last sprint. So we'll do another 40-minute one, and we will see you on the other side. Hello, sorry that took a while then. I was like, why is the kitty not moving? Hopefully didn't make him jump too much like he did me. I always know it's going to happen, and then I think, oh, I'll just get one more thing done.
Yeah.
And then it meows and scares me. Let me scroll back in the comments. I've got all confused where we're up to. Okay, so how did you two get on last night? Sharon, how about you? Did you have a good one?
Yes, it's very, very good.
Excellent.
I'm struggling. I always surprises me, the cat. I'm like, I look up and I think, oh, I've got 3 minutes. I could do another chapter, and then suddenly it goes off. But yes, I might be having a late night tonight.
How much have you got left?
About 120 pages.
Oh yeah, you're getting to that point, aren't you? You're not going to be able to stop tonight.
It's just so dark, but so good. It's like a movie. Do you know? I don't know if other people do this, but when I read a book, I can see the images in my head like a movie. And it ever occurred to me, not everyone does that, right? But to me, I can see it all as and it's kind of, it's like watching a movie. And when you're in a really good movie, you just don't want to stop. It's kind of like that with a book for me. It's getting to the point where I'm gasping now. I'm like, what? So
yeah, I've stayed up many nights finishing a book. I've only burnt dinner once though when I've been reading a book, so that's good.
That's good going. How did you get on?
I'm in my reading now. Like, I tend to read when my little boy, like if he's watching Mickey Mouse for 10 minutes or something, I'm like, quick bit of reading. So I'm not like languishing in that kind of reading all night thing at the minute just because I can't fit it in. But
I mean, I don't have children. I don't have any children. I have cats. So, for me, I could stay up all night and read. I'd just be tired the next day for work. But
yeah, you've put your time in though. You've done your time.
Yeah.
Well, I was only ever part-time. They lived with their mom. They only came to us, and didn't come to us all the time. But still,
I'm also a stepmom of our eldest, and so, even part-time, it's still a job. You can say it's part-time, but it's still a full-time job.
Oh yeah, exactly, definitely.
I have no responsibilities except to myself, really. So it's different.
Yeah, I get that. And you just fit it in with the time you've got, don't you? We all kind of make decisions. I've decided to do crazy things like write multiple books in a year when I don't have time to do it. So it's my own stupid fault. And we kind of make it work. Okay, so Kirsty's letting us know that the Aurelian one is book roast, the Aurelian and let's see. Hi, Chloe. Awesome. That sounds interesting. May. I don't know what that is. Have either of you heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of the author either.
Oh, tell us, Chloe. What's it about? Oh, Brittany Rescues and Reads. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Paula. I saw you sent me that message. Just gone and instantly subscribed. So I can't do that again. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, put us on mute. Do it. It's fine. I mean, she can't hear us because we're on mute.
No.
Yeah, we all believe in Asma. She sees us at a later point. She has got this. We all remember at some point being in this situation, whether it's GCSEs or uni. We've been there. What are you reading, Sharon? Is it Kin? Yeah.
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 I'm gonna have to go subscribe to Kellen on TikTok because I don't think I am. So
yeah, he's very fun.
Oh, he's very funny. He's very funny.
Yeah, it does have cannibals, Chloe, in case you are wondering.
Yeah, it is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think somebody commented earlier. It is very like that. But there's a lot more backstory with the. It like starts where somebody's rescued. Really, do you know what I mean? So you get into the background of all the families. So it's more background of that than in Texas Chainsaw. But the actual violence is very similar.
Yeah, that's a good description. So anybody just tuning in, just bear that in mind. Excellent. You went in around. Yes. I mean, that's great if you can get a few words done tonight. No brain images for me. Oh, brain images. Oh, from I don't really know. As you're saying it, I'm like, what do I get? I love reading, but I don't really know how it works in my brain. I'm gonna have to think about that next time I read. Like,
it's supposed to be quite unusual. I see it that's why I rarely watch things that are made into TV or movies, because it's never going to be the same as it was in my head.
Yeah.
So I can picture all of the characters in my head, and I actually see them doing what they're doing in the book.
See, I can't picture characters in my head. I can, like, not so much faces. I can, like, see the stature and the dress and the everything, and I'm more about, like, seeing the world around them. But I can't actually, like, it's not like fully played out in a movie, like movie style in my head.
Yeah,
that's what my dreams are more like.
Yeah, I think I'm similar to you. I think I'm like snippets. I don't think it plays out, but I think I do see some stuff really vividly. And then I'm like you said, Sharon, I'm really surprised when I see them on TV, and I'm like, hang on, they don't look like that.
Well, my dreams are wacky. That's just when I'm reading. When I'm dreaming.
Yeah, last night I dreamt that one of my author friends was my teacher, and she was teaching me A-level psychology, and Jason Momoa was also in the class with me.
Why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't he be?
Of course he is. So that is what I was dreaming last night. I was 18, Jason Momoa was 18. I'm sure sparks would fly, but you only ever get that like snippet. I mean, with me, I quite often get like little dreams where, like, could that not have just continued for another 2 hours? And it was like the rom-com of me and Jason Momoa. How rude!
I'd go back to school if Jason Momoa was there.
True.
Yeah, no.
Do you ever get that where you kind of like you're having a good dream, not so much a good dream, but you're having a fun one or whatever, and you end up coming round for whatever reason, and then you're like, no, get back to the dream, get back to the dream, and never get back.
And you realise you're just telling the story in your own head. Yeah, that's me all the time. Oh, Rose of May. Let's see what that is. Ooh, really dark. About when he steals scales and makes these butterflies.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I think Sharon in the minority. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I hear my own voice in my head when I read, definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember there was something to do with apples, wasn't there, that went viral? Like, what apple would you see if you're reading about an apple? And some people like no apple, great black and white apple, like apple of different colour.
Mine would be a pink lady, probably.
Yeah, yours have just been like vivid surround sound bites and everything. Billy Summers, I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I mean, I wouldn't say that.
Well,
yeah. I think Cynthia once had a dream where I teamed up with her to do something really bad. Like, why is everybody dreaming that I'm like a serial killer?
I don't know. Maybe because,
I create them.
You write books with serial killers in them.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie. I would never. I'm sure you know. I would never. Yeah. What are our thoughts on Billy Summers? Haven't read it. Sharon, were you nodding?
Yeah, I thought it was. It's not one of my favourite Stephen King's. I prefer his earlier stuff, and I know some of that's problematic now because it was written of the time, in the 70s and 80s, and like anything, it is quite problematic. But I prefer the pure horror he did rather than the later on, although 11/22/63 is probably my favourite Stephen King book. I just think that is just epic in scale. It's just incredible. But yeah, it was all right. It was okay. I mean, I like how he writes. I think he's a very descriptive writer.
Yeah.
So I like how he writes.
Charlie says, I just kill off her babies, also known as characters, not actual babies. God, Charlie, you haven't been killing you. Oh, dear.
What has Amy been up to?
Thank you. Yeah, I think Charlie might have been one of the people that sent me a message, and but one, she was like, I really like this character. They're so sweet and precious. So I was like, good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio is problematic in himself, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah, so I do actually quite like the films they made or the TV shows they made of. I mean, like I quite enjoyed the films, but actually still prefer the TV series, the series they did of it with John Boy out of Walton's. So I still love that, but I do. Yeah,
see, I can't read Stephen King. I don't know what it is. His writing just doesn't. I don't vibe with his writing. It just doesn't. But I like.
It goes on a bit.
Yeah, I like it. His when it's been done to TV. So like like Carrie or like Tommy Knockers and Firestarter way back when.
I think Carrie's the one that disappointed me the most. And I love Sissy Spacek, but it was disappointed the most because they changed how her mother died in the film to what it is in the book, and that really annoyed me because in the book it was so beautifully done. But I do love Sissy Spacek.
Well, the
And
thing
also
is,
she's sympathetic, and in the book she's not. She's not a nice person.
I've got a fear of clowns. I'm terrified of them. So I was like, right, I'm gonna read it because I don't want to watch the movie. I'll read it so I don't have to watch the movie. And I just couldn't get into it, so I was like, fine, I'll watch the movie. I haven't watched the new one. I've watched the old one with Tim Curry, and that's enough for me.
He's such a good Pennywise.
He really is.
I feel like I could talk about Pennywise all night, but unfortunately, a little person is screaming my name. So
Do you know that's the good thing when he goes to school, Amy? Hopefully he'll get sleeping better, darling.
Maybe. Hope so. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to go and see to little person, and I'm going to pop us into our last sprint, the 30-minute one. So I'll remember to put the key on this time and see you all on the No. I feel like I was just very unproductive because my boy's still not asleep, bless him. He got himself really upset, and he doesn't normally do this. He normally wakes up and kind of goes back to sleep fairly okay, but got really upset. So now he's kind of wide awake and he's fine. He's upstairs with his daddy, but he's just awake.
Yeah, sleep regression is a thing.
Honestly, you think his sleep has never quite been sorted. He's always woken up like odd times, but we got to the point where it's like, quick wake up and down. I can cope with that. It's the really long wake ups where he's wide awake. They're really difficult. But yeah, sleep, I think, has been the hardest thing for me. I thought other aspects of parenting might be difficult, but it's sleep. Sleep is
well,
and then they become teenagers and you can't get them out of bed.
No, Sharon, that's the one way that I want to jump to the teenage years. Anything else, you can keep them, and I can like gradually get there in our own time. But it would be nice to have like 14-hour nights sleep.
Yeah.
See, everything's so random at our house. It's like our 16-year-old. It's like he will get up at 6 a.m. in the morning and get ready and go to school. Yeah. I don't know why. It's like me and his dad are not morning people, but obviously, you know. But yeah, he just seems to be able to. He sleeps like a brick, and like, you know, as soon as his alarm goes off, it's like, oh, boom, that's it. He's up. Off he goes.
I could do that.
I don't sleep well. I'm a chronic insomniac.
Same.
I average about 3 or 4 hours a night
maximum.
Yeah, and I have since I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I gave my mother a nervous breakdown because I never slept.
Oh, see, my brother doesn't sleep that much and is quite similar in temperament to my son. So I'm wondering if he's kind of got that gene of not needing as much. He's very like, his brain's constantly working, which mine is, to be fair. Like, I never stop whirring through stuff. And I think he wakes up in the night and he's like, oh, my brain's whirring, so I can't sleep. Even though he's 3.
With Wyatt, he has to take melatonin because he's just, there is no stop with Wyatt. He needs to have the melatonin just to actually, like, you know, get him into the, like, okay, it's quiet time now, because he literally just goes and goes and goes like the Energized Bunny until he crashes.
My niece has got 2 severely autistic children. They're both non-verbal, and yeah. So it is the hard work because they are on the go 20, like little Duracell bunnies, aren't they? They never stop.
And when he's awake, that's it. He's awake. We can't convince him to go back to sleep. So like Monday and Tuesday, because we've just come back off of the like 2-week Easter holidays. So when the changing of his routine going into the Easter holidays, he would wake up on an evening and he'll wake up at like 20 past midnight and then be awake all the way through. And then going back to school, he woke up at like 1:30 midnight, and then the next night it was like 1:30. But now he's back into his routine, and touching wood, everything seems to be going back to normal.
It's like 6 weeks. Some reassurance that I'm not alone and that it does seem to pass. Like, I've got friends who've got children of a similar temperament, and they've said at like 3 or 4, like you said, Sharon, when they go to school.
So you get into routine.
I'm just biding my time. There's no forcing somebody to sleep, is there? When they wake up, be like, well, I can't like force you to
and
sleep.
They don't tell you this, you know, as a parent, when you're a parent, and I was only ever step parent, but they never tell you that you'll never sleep again. That's, you know, have a child, but you'll never ever have a good night's sleep, because even when they're grown up and leave the home, you worry. So you never stop worrying. It never ends.
And you've got to weigh up what you want as well. Like, at the minute, I need to write in an evening just because it's my only time. So I could try pushing his bedtime to 9 o'clock and see if that helps, but I need to write between 7 and 9. So I think it's all a juggling act and swings and roundabouts. But
nobody's got all the answers. You just do the best you can.
No. Exactly. Thank you. So Charlie's giving us good advice that we need to read the Kerry retelling, which I think is called The Weight of Blood, is it? Very similar to Carrie, which is also on my list of things to read.
Weight of Blood.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I need to read that. It sounds so good. In fact, I may even have it. It's one of those books that I've bought and it's just like on the pile. Isn't it? There's a lot that thing that comes up on TikTok, isn't there? Like, okay, buddy, on the shelf you go. That's me. Put it on the right shelf. It looks really nice and it stays there for a little while.
They're very expensive, these sprints are found generally.
I know, sorry.
Is it Tiffany D. Jackson?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're all doing it, aren't you? Like adding the books. Well, the one I've got out of it is I need to buy Margie Fuston's new book because Kirsty's convinced me. Was it Kirsty? I think who was reading it. I've just realised that I'm getting close to my time because I'm really conscious that I've only got so much on StreamYard and we're very close to me not being able to do a sprint on Thursday if we don't wrap it up in a minute.
Okay,
so
they're fine.
I think I need to wrap it up, but I really appreciate you two coming on. We will be still on screen in the little green room together in a minute, but I do appreciate the fact that you've joined me. It's been so nice to chat Stephen King and all the other
Lovely to see you both.
Yeah, so thank you everybody. As I said, I'll be doing sprints again on Thursday at 7:30. I've already got a few fun people lined up to chat to us, and hopefully you two lovely ladies may join us in the comments.
Be in the comments.
We'll be there in the
comments. So I think the comments have gone quiet, so we can probably leave it there. But night everyone, and we will hope.
Night everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.